on a beautiful evening, both here in Halifax and so we here in Riverview. Thanks for making the time, taking the time in your busy day and joining us perhaps again. Some of you may have been following the project since we started in September. For those of you who are new to the project, we'll include a little bit of a background introduction so that you're aware of the work that's been done to date. My name is Stefan Kolbler. I'm a partner and planner at Upland Planning and Design here in Halifax. And with me tonight is my co-host Arnav Garg, also a planner at Upland.
Hi.
I'm gonna share my screen and we'll get into our presentation. One second. Um, Can we see that first slide? Yep, looks good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so as I mentioned, our presentation should take about 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, and then we have lots of time for questions and a dialogue. Um, we will start with a bit of background about the project, um, tell you about the previous rounds of public engagement, and what we've heard from citizens and stakeholders. Then we will present the concept for the secondary plan area to you. And then, as I mentioned, we have lots of time for questions and answers. So our team here at Upland Planning and Design in Halifax have been working on this plan since the fall of last year. We partnered with an engineering firm based in New Brunswick, Englobe, who are our advisors on all things civil engineering, transportation, as well as the ecological research and field work that has been done on the study area. This is our team working on the secondary plan. We here at Upland, we are about 15 planners, landscape architects, GIS specialists, public engagement specialists, and we've been working on similar studies all over Atlantic Canada for the past 12 years. And are doing work at the same time concurrently in Moncton and Dieppe as well. We were very familiar with the region, always really happy to work in the area and have been really impressed by the engagement and contributions by you, the citizens, by our stakeholders, and the landowners who we talk to. What is a secondary plan in broad terms? Some of you or many of you may have been part of the recent municipal plan review that was undertaken not by us, by another consultant, which was essentially a town-wide vision for Riverview or an update of that vision, which happens every couple of years. This secondary plan study is a specific study undertaken for the Gunningsville, Bridgedale, Gunningsville, Robertson area that you see here on the right, which is essentially at the intersection of Bridgedale and Gunningsville, and which is an area that had been designated as a development area for quite some time. The secondary plan now is a way to ensure that the development of the area, which is contains a number of landowners, is done in a way that aligns with the vision of the municipal plan, with housing needs, environmental considerations, and really sets the tone and a roadmap for a holistic, well-connected neighborhood in the development area. As many of you know, Riverview has been growing quite steadily and significantly, about 4.7% population growth between the last two censuses, and the population projections estimate further growth, and that is not just growth in Riverview, but also, of course, in the Greater Moncton area. What's been interesting as we've been looking at the statistics for the Greater Moncton area is that Moncton and Dieppe have grown at quite a faster pace, and Riverview has been lagging behind quite a bit behind that growth, and so one of the things we were trying to figure out what is the reason for that, and what are the pinch points in the housing market in Riverview. There was a housing needs assessment done in 2024 that really emphasized and highlighted how critically important affordable housing is in Riverview, and how many people perceive or experience a lack of rental housing, and which is perceived as critical or high. You can see that represented in the pie charts on the right. So in the Greater Moncton area, Riverview is the municipality with the fewest apartments available, which creates challenges on both ends of the population spectrum, both young families, students, or young people in general, looking for a place to live in Riverview, have a challenge with essentially the low supply of apartments. Riverview is predominantly a single dwelling community, and with today's housing prices, that's a challenge for people who want to settle in Riverview. And on the other end of the spectrum, there's also an aging population and seniors looking to downsize, empty nesters trying to move out of their bigger homes into smaller places, and ideally would like to age in place, stay in the community. And their housing options are also very limited. This project is one of the several ways that the municipality is looking to address those challenges. As I said, we started working on this project in September of last year. Our very first job was to delineate all the wetlands in the study area. So our ecologists were out on site for about 6 weeks, doing all the necessary field work before the winter. We took that information, included it in our maps for the area, and then came to Riverview the end of 2025 and the beginning of January 2026, both in person and online. And we talked to you, the residents, about your vision for this area, how you see it develop or not develop at all the in-betweens. What essentially we asked you what's important to you to protect, and what is the kind of change you want to see if you had a vision or wanted to see the area develop. Um, we came back with a lot of really a lot of ideas, comments, and Arnav will tell you a little more about what we heard. To our office, we started drafting concepts, had them reviewed by our steering committee, and we're now ready to present a concept to you, which is essentially the community engagement on the draft plan that you see highlighted in yellow. And between May and July of this year, we're planning to finalize and have the plan adopted.
All right, so I'm just going to run through a quick summary of all of the activities that we did during that first round of engagement, as well as some of our work that we did to prepare the scenario we're presenting today. This is quite a high level summary, and then I'll tell you a little bit about what we heard. If you are interested in kind of a more detailed report of all of the engagement, that is available on the project website, which there's a link at the end of the presentation, which I'll point out. So we connected with the community in a few different ways. We had some in-person activities. We held a community open house in December. This was at Riverview Town Hall. And then we also had a variety of online activities, which I'll just run through as we're going through the slides. So next slide, Stefan, please.
We're all done downstairs.
Thanks. That open house, as I mentioned in December, was attended by about 28 people. This was held in council chambers. People were able to view informational panels. We had a big map of the area that people could kind of look over and talk to team members and leave their comments directly on the map. Next slide, please. We also held an online meeting very similar to what we're doing right now. So there was a presentation. It was attended by 21 people. There was a question and answer round. And again, if you're interested, a recording of that presentation is available on the website as well. And then we had some one-on-one interviews with quite a few people in the community. So just for context, within the plan area, there's 8 total landowners. One of them is the town of Riverview itself. So out of the 7 other private landowners, we were able to speak with 6 of them. That included Clayton and Momar, as well as 4 individuals who own properties in the area. And then in addition, we also had 9 other shareholders who represent different groups, community organizations, as well as some government departments as well. And then this was our online map that was hosted on the project website. This was really where we got a significant bulk of our feedback. So there were 123 contributors, and amongst them, they left 214 comments on our map. So just to summarize what we heard from all of that feedback, this is again a very high level summary, but one of the key items was highlight the area's natural assets. So very loud and clear, a lot of people expressed strong support for protecting the wetlands in the area and really integrating nature into the development. So not just through natural areas, but people also expressed a need for more parks, more recreation opportunities, things of that nature. We also heard about providing more housing options. So as Stefan kind of touched on, there is a strong need for housing for different groups, whether that's downsizing options for seniors. We heard about housing for students, newcomers, single parent families, all of those people looking for really a diverse mix of housing options. We heard a lot about creating a complete community. So this came up in a lot of different ways, but essentially, people are really looking for a nice neighborhood, a walkable community where they can access, local businesses, but also services like schools, amenities like parks, all within the neighborhood. And there was generally a feeling that they didn't want this area to just become another, large commercial plaza or something of that nature. And then finally, there was providing safe and convenient connections. So we heard quite a lot about, especially active transportation. So making sure that there were a lot of great options for walking or cycling or rolling, especially for children trying to get to school. A lot of people felt that there were maybe some missing connections between adjacent neighborhoods. So, for example, getting from Carriage Hill, the Carriage Hill area to Riverview East School. That was a big one that came up quite a lot. And then also on the sort of vehicular traffic movement side, there were a lot of suggestions for new connections just to help distribute traffic a little bit and reduce reliance on Hillsborough Road. So in summary, overall, I would say participants really wanted to see a secondary plan that will support a multi-generational diverse Riverview. So making sure there's, housing options for everyone and services for everyone, while also maintaining that key connection to nature and providing everyday services. Back to you, Stefan.
Thank you. We took all that feedback. We have it summarized in a What We Heard report that you can find on our project website. We'll show you the link at the end of the presentation. Out of this, both from the background information, which is essentially looking at all the physical features of the site, the servicing, both opportunities and constraints, the natural systems, slopes, general topography, vegetation, adjacency to other land uses within the town, so on and so forth. We took all that information and used it to develop preliminary scenarios, and we'll show those next. We presented those to the town, the steering committee. We had a workshop with council, again, talked to the landowners, and out of that dialogue resulted a preferred draft scenario, which we will also present today. And we are right here at the public and stakeholder engagement. So we'll start with two preliminary scenarios. So those are early ideas, and they are intentionally presented in a kind of sketch style because they are essentially pen on paper scenarios that are really early ideas in the process. One thing that all concepts have in common is that we are protecting all wetlands that are either larger than 1 hectare or are part of a continuous watercourse. So there's a large wetland north of Bridgedale and one south of Bridgedale, essentially the same wetland complex connected through a culvert under Bridgedale. There's another smaller one towards in the southern corner of the study area, and one just barely over 1 hectare large wetland just south of Chambers. Our starting point was respecting those natural systems, not just for their ability to manage stormwater, but also recognizing their function for biodiversity in the area, the adjacency to Mill Creek Park, and using those, protecting those systems, but also utilizing them as both an asset to the new neighborhood and as a potential way to connect Mill Creek Park through these natural areas to other parts of our neighborhood and Riverview. So we talked to the Friends of Mill Creek Park. They have a very interesting visionary master plan for Mill Creek Park, and we took inspiration from that plan in terms of the connection they had envisioned out of Mill Creek Park into the surrounding neighborhoods. So essentially making east-west connections through the buffers of these wetlands here, and then also connecting the southern part of Mill Creek Park into the area. We've taken that a step further and also provided some north-south connections. So we have everything that's in green here would be a proposed trail system through this new development area. You see an area here on the top right that is outside our study area. So our study area is essentially everything within the red outline. Those are our neighbors, MoMA developments, who have had plans to develop this area for quite some time as a low-density residential area, which is yellow, and then some multi-use mid-rise development along Bridgedale Boulevard. Another fact or plan that factored into our scenarios is the fact that the French school board is looking for a site in Riverview, not just in this area. They're looking town-wide, but this secondary plan area is one of the opportunities to find a suitable location. And so we tested various locations. In this scenario, we're looking at the area just of Chambers, co-locating the French school essentially with the existing English school, potentially taking advantage of some synergies with regards to facility sharing, sports fields sharing, so on and so forth. And then the area, we're kind of looking at this neighborhood at a gradient of land use intensity. So in this scenario, we're assuming that the corner of Bridgedale and Gunningsville is our densest and most active neighborhood with a commercial component. So everything purple would be mid-rise development, 6 to 8 stories with a retail or service, essentially commercial ground floor. Everything orange would be residential mid-rise buildings, 6 stories, mostly along Bridgedale Boulevard and Gunningsville, stretching down to the south. And then in this preliminary concept, we also looked at stepping down densities towards Mill Creek Park. So everything brown here would be townhouses, and then further stepping down to yellow single dwelling or duplex neighborhoods. You can also see these circles here on the map. Those are conceptual walk times. This is essentially a 5-minute walk from around the school, and this would be a 10-minute walk. So you can get a bit of a sense what the catchment area would be for kids in both the existing neighborhoods to the north as well as this new secondary plan area, essentially providing a quick, easy access, walkable access to the school from the neighborhood. In the preliminary concept or scenario B, we looked at the corner of Bridgedale and Gunningsville as the potential school site, which means that our commercial uses or mixed use area, as we call it, shifts up north of Bridgedale, would be, again, a very highly visible area from those 2 collector roads, very well connected through both trails and roads. And the area that we had looked at for the French school up here in this scenario would be a low density neighborhood development, so singles and semis. And this is largely to respect the existing established neighborhood and really kind of continue the same fabric that you find in the Chambers Street area, carry that through to the south. In this concept, we also were starting to introduce an idea of another public park that is located around an area of what our ecologists identified as a disturbed wetland. So it's not a fully functioning wetland. The idea here is to either partially establish a functioning wetland or create generally a public park that's kind of the anchor of that southern neighborhood at the center of the neighborhood, surrounded by, again, multi-unit buildings, orange, and then a combination of townhouses and singles and semis. And the active transportation network is similar to what you've seen in the previous scenario, making good north-south connections, primarily to the school, the English school, and then again, looking to connect Mill Creek Park east-west into our neighborhood. So we took those, as I mentioned, we took those preliminary concepts back to the town, and we got got a lot of ideas, but some was some very clear consensus amongst the steering committee that we should be looking at higher densities in this area. It was felt that we weren't fully taking advantages of the development potential, especially with regards to that lack of purpose-built rental housing that we've identified earlier in this study. So what you will see in the preferred draft scenario is that we kept the low density area north of Bridgedale, but then really increased both the makeup in terms of building massing and height, but also the type of housing units that we provide, essentially proposing, again, in orange, mid-rise, 6-story residential neighborhood and a larger mixed-use area in the area of Bridgedale and Gunningsville. Again, this is the vision for this is primarily ground floor commercial uses, but it could also include standalone retail. But essentially using this very visible area that is fairly central to our secondary plan area, both in terms of vehicular access, but also walkability, and make this the quasi town center, so to speak, of this secondary plan area. We've formalized our central park further, and we'll show you some images what we think this could look like. Essentially creating this central amenity. Could be a playground and both passive and active recreation areas in this park, a little similar to what some of you may have seen on the Halifax Common at a smaller scale, but a similar function. And then we were also encouraged to look at another commercial node or mixed-use node down at Robertson Street. The active transportation network is similar to the previous concepts. There was, however, another opportunity or desire expressed by engineering that we should be looking at a further connectivity between the neighborhood to the north and Bridgedale Boulevard, largely to alleviate general traffic concerns in this area and direct traffic down to Bridgedale and Gunningsville and then over the bridge to Moncton, and really utilizing this collector road that was an investment that the town made very purposefully or purposely a few years ago. And we looked, in addition to this north-south connection, we also were looking to a connection into Bridgedale here. We did not forget about the French school. I'm just going to talk about this a little further. I think we covered all of this. Yeah, it really, both the higher densities, we're looking at these higher densities from a few different angles. One of them is also creating a larger tax base for the town that creates a better return on investment on the infrastructure investments that had been made, namely the two collector roads, but also the new Riverview Recreation Center, which is under construction at this corner. We're still offering, so to speak, or looking at the possibility of locating the French school in this area. They need about 22 to 25 acres, which is something we can accommodate here. And again, as I pointed out earlier, this is a location that would be really well connected into both the existing and new neighborhoods. And we're also proposing an access directly off Gunningsville for the school buses bringing kids to the French school, as well as parents driving their kids to school. As I mentioned earlier, the system of natural open spaces or the natural environment, as well as the active transportation connectivity, which is walking, biking, rollerblading, skateboarding, everything that's self-propelled. That was a key driver for the structure that we're proposing here. And when we delete all the other development parcels from the map to give you an impression of what that really looks like, these are again the larger wetlands with a 30-meter buffer around them. The trails using those buffer lands for further connectivity, and keeping the idea of a central park here in the neighborhood. So in terms of percentages, what we're looking here is the overall secondary plan area. About 36% would be protected as open space and conservation. So those are all the wetlands plus the buffers. We are also adding 14% of parks and recreation space. That's both on municipal and private land. The municipality owns some parcels of land in the secondary plan area. And then 50% of that entire area would be proposed for development. So in terms of both the kind of more urban park spaces and the conservation areas, here are a few images of what that could look like. That central park space would really be an active urban park flanked by medium mid-rise buildings looking out over the park. And the conservation areas, those trails, you may have noticed that we are proposing some trails through the wetland. Those wouldn't be gravel trails or wetland disturbances, they would actually those would be built as boardwalks. And in the buffer areas of the wetlands, you would build regular multi-use gravel trails. So with that, we're going to open up the Q&A part of the meeting. Here are a few suggestions for questions to think about. What do you feel we got right? Which features do you like in the draft scenario? Does the scenario support your vision for the plan area and for Riverview? Does anything in the draft scenario need more work? Anything you don't like or want us to change? And do you see any other potential issues with those scenarios? I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we can always bring it, turn it back on, go to specific slides you want to see.